On behalf of the Louisiana Center for the Book in the State Library of Louisiana, thank you for joining us for this virtual 2021 Louisiana Book Festival presentation. This program is Battle of the Bands with Lauren Gibaldi, Ashley Poston, Jenny Torres Sanchez, Eric Smith, and Jasmine Warga. Lauren Gibaldi is a young adult author and public librarian who lives in Orlando, Florida, with her husband and daughters. Her books include The Night We Said Yes, Autofocus, and This Tiny Perfect World, along with her co-edited anthology, Battle of the Bands. Ashley Poston writes stories about love and friendship and ever-afters. A native to South Carolina, she now lives in a small gray house with her sassy cat and too many books. You can find her on the internet somewhere, watching cat videos and reading fan fiction. Jenny Torres Sanchez is a full-time writer and former English teacher. She was born in Brooklyn, New York, but has lived on the border of two worlds her whole life. She is the author of several novels for young adults. Her latest novel, We Are Not From Here, is a Pura Belpre honor book and has been described by the New York Times as a novel precisely for this moment. Eric Smith is a literary agent and young adult author living in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's worked on award-winning and New York Times best-selling books, and sometimes tries to write them. His novels include The Girl in the Grove, Don't Read the Comments, You Can Go Your Own Way, and the anthology Battle of the Bands, co-edited with Lauren Gibaldi. Jasmine Warga is the author of the New York Times bestseller, Other Words for Home. Other Words for Home earned multiple awards, including a John Newbery Honor, a Walter Honor for Young Readers, and a Charlotte Huck Honor. She is also the author of young adult books, My Heart and Other Black Holes, and Here We Are Now, which have been translated into over 20 different languages. The Shape of Thunder, her most recent book for middle grade readers, is a Junior Library Guild selection and Indie Next List Summer 2021 pick. Ladies and gentlemen, Lauren Gibaldi, Ashley Poston, Jenny Torres Sanchez, Eric Smith, and Jasmine Warga.
Awesome. Well, hey, everybody. My name is Eric Smith, and I'm joined here with my co-editor for Battle of the Bands, Lauren Gibaldi, who's hailing in live from Florida, as well as several of our contributors to the collection, Ashley, Jenny, and Jasmine. I'm just so wildly excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. The sort of genesis of this collection started at this festival, and we'll definitely have to talk about that. But for now, why don't we all introduce ourselves a little bit for everyone who might not know everybody's books, although you all should. So, Lauren, do you want to start?
Sure. My name's Lauren Gibaldi. This is my book. It's all of our book. It's all of our babies. I'm coming in from Florida, and I'm also the author of The Night We Said Yes, This Tiny Perfect World, and Autofocus. I forgot the name of my books. And I'm also a librarian here, so yay libraries. Let's pass it to Jenny. Who's this way?
Hi. Hi, my name is Jenny Torres Sanchez. I live in Florida also. Actually, Lauren and I get to hang out a lot, which is pretty cool. I have several YA novels out. The latest one is We Are Not From Here, which is back there, and Battle of the Bands, which I'm so proud to be a part of. And usually my writing deals with difficult topics and issues. And I guess that's just the sad place is my happy place. So.
I guess I'll go next. My name is Ashley Poston. I am the author of Geekarella and the Once Upon a Con series and some sci-fis and a fantasy called Among the Beasts and Briars, but I am here for Battle of the Bands right now. So that's I live in South Carolina in a small gray house with my cat and a big cardboard cutout of Loki. So that's all you need to know about me.
Jasmine.
Okay, yeah, I guess it's my turn. Hi, I'm Jasmine. I live in Chicago. Soon I will be at the part of the year where I wish that I lived in Florida, but we're not quite there yet. I am the author of 2 young adult books, My Heart and Other Black Holes, and Here We Are Now, and 2 middle grade novels, Other Words for Home and The Shape of Thunder. But I'm super excited to be here to talk about our anthology and everyone's stories.
And we're so happy to have you guys. It's really fun being able to do virtual events like this so we can see everyone, because I mean, putting together an anthology there were 16 of us, and we never talked in person, except Jenny and I were able to, but that was it.
Yeah, no, that was it. And Jasmine, I have to ask, what are the books on your shelf back there? Because I feel like one of them is Other Words from Home, but I can't make out the white.
Yeah, the other one is The Shape of Thunder. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, probably the cursive script makes it more difficult to read the spine. So
And don't you have another cool book about Mars coming?
Yes, next fall, hopefully. We're in that part of publishing that I'm sure you're very familiar with, which is the like, are we actually going to stay on schedule for this book to
Who knows?
No one ever knows.
So we're in that fun period, but from the information that I have, it is a book that will be out next fall, and it's another middle grade novel, but it's narrated by a Mars rover, and I'm so excited about it. It's been like such a joy to work on during the pandemic. So yeah,
Such a cool book.
Cute.
That sounds so
cute.
adorable.
Mhm.
I can't wait for that, because I feel like we don't see as many like middle grade books about like anthropomorphized objects as
Wally.
we should.
Yeah, it's Wally.
It's Wally. Wally on Mars.
yeah, that's what basically I told my agent. I was like, I think I'm reading a book that's kind of like Wally and the One and Only Ivan, but with robots. And she's like, I never really
Give me
expected
that.
those words to come out of your mouth, but okay.
Give me that now. Like that sounds adorable.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. I can't wait. So yeah, we want to talk a little bit about I guess we'll talk a little bit about the collection, how it came together, and chat about everybody's stories a bit. I love the way this book came together, because Lauren and I had done the Louisiana Book
This
Fest.
event.
Yeah, when was it? Three years ago?
3 years ago? 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
I guess it was 3 years ago now,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
we were on our way back home, and our flight was at 2 a.m. And we're sitting there in the airport, and we're all just rambling about our new book ideas. And Katie Katungo was there with us, who's also in the anthology, and Karen McManus was also there. And we're all just rambling about our books. And Lauren's like, I have this idea for this anthology, Battle of the Bands thing. And I was like, oh my God, can I please ride your coattails and help with that book? That sounds amazing. And now here we are, and it's wild. And Katie's even in it.
Yeah, it was awesome, because I mean, I think it was a great partnership for us, because I had the idea, but I knew it wasn't going to be like a standalone book that I could write on my own because of like the concept of it. And I didn't know how to do anthologies. I had an idea that they were cool, and that was it. So Eric also, you've done an anthology on your own as well, Welcome Home, which is fantastic. And then also have agented them. So when you were like, I'd like it, I'm like, yay, let's do it together. So thank you for taking up this idea. But yeah, Battle of the Bands, if you're not familiar with it, it's an anthology of 16 different stories about a one-night Battle of the Bands. And that's kind of what sets it apart from other anthologies, is that all the stories are connected because it's one night. So everyone wrote their stories individually. All the stories are different parts of a Battle of the Bands, be it the band, like a band performing, or the ticket taker, or someone in the audience whose dad is connected, or all of that. And then once everyone submitted them, Eric and I kind of put them together, and we turned it into an anthology. So we have little pieces that kind of weave in and out of each of the story, but honestly, everything is individual. So you can read them on its own, but if you read them in order, you get like little shout outs and all that.
And you get to know who wins Battle of the Band, which
Yeah.
none of us knew about
Yeah.
until the very end.
I love that you guys kept that part a secret, because it just, I don't know, it made it for like a big reveal for us too. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was exciting trying to pick it too, because we were just like, I guess we should choose a winner. And then we had to like go through all the bands and think about like judging on like who was rehearsed and who was last minute and who had a best reaction. And we were judging fake bands. It was a lot of fun.
I'm just so mad that Rock Your Mouth didn't win. I'm so mad.
With the
They were
shirtless
wrong.
singer. And
With the suspenders, like
Who just shouted
They were-
words.
They were robbed.
That part made me laugh so much. I love this collection because there's everything in it. There's like laughter, and then there's sadness, and there's just so much going on. There's romance, and I just love that it rang so true to what like teenage life is and what it encompasses, and how it can go from like 1 minute of like something really sad and terrible, and like kind of the next minute, okay, things are okay again. So I loved it. Ashley, I loved each one of your stories, everybody on this panel. But Ashley, I do remember kind of like smiling and laughing as I went through yours. It was fantastic.
Thank you. But yeah, I actually agree. Everyone's short stories were so good and like surprising too. Like some people I know that some authors like helped each other write each other's like short stories, which was really fun. And I was like, oh, I wish I would have done that with like Preeti or someone.
We didn't know people were doing that. So it was Brittany and Jeff who did it. And then they submitted their stories and we're like, oh, their main characters are sisters. So we had
give us in real life. So
yeah, exactly. So it ended up being kind of perfect. And then with me, I told like Jenny told us her idea, your idea. And I was just like, okay, Vincent's going to be in my story. Thanks. And that was it. So you didn't know what I was writing about, poor Vincent.
I know. It was pretty cool, like reading, being like, oh, look, okay, Vincent's just taken off with, his character now.
And your story though informed mine because I had written mine, but then I got your story and was like, Vincent needs to change in my story quite a bit. So it was actually a lot of fun to kind of piece all of this together and then add people. Like I know Ashley's your band that you created, Rock Your Mouth, we ended up adding other people into it just because we needed like Beckett, which is Brittany's character, drums in 4 different bands. So I was just like, choose the band. Who doesn't have a drummer?
Which one?
Congrats. She's now in Rock Your Mouth.
Best performance,
Yeah.
she just killed it.
She did so good. She did so good.
So that was one of the fun things about working on this was constructing the anthology and figuring out how all the different stories were going to sort of intermesh with one another. And one of the really fun things that happened for us was we emailed all these contributors after we had finally figured out who was going to be in the book. We had some like loose little things. We were like, we'd like to have someone doing maybe tickets, maybe kids who are just in the audience, but do your own thing and let us know what you want to do. Pitch us your ideas. And we all got so lucky because I feel like everybody came back with like perfect pitches for the project. Like no one wanted to be like, oh, my band needs to win, I'm gonna write the rock star. It felt like no one wanted the spotlight. We had all these like underdog characters, which was, felt very, very real both to teenagers and also us as authors, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially YA authors. We're like, we don't need to win. We just want to be part of it. Yeah. It's like, I just want to be there. Let's be Brett. And that was actually, yeah.
No, it's just like just want to be in the room where it happens, That's it.
Yes, that's it. But yeah, it was really awesome. Like all the ideas were fantastic, and we were really lucky that like we have amazing authors who all said yes to us, which was like we're still thrilled about. And everyone gave us these amazing ideas, and we ended up sharing the ideas in case anyone had any things. And then some people came back, like Jasmine and Sarah Nicole, your stories overlapped. So, and you guys did that on your own, which was cool. Like, so it ended up being really awesome. And then everyone else was really awesome. Like everyone here was awesome with us being like, hey, can we name that teacher this name? So it's a teacher that ends up in another story, or like the MC is going to be this teacher. And like, everyone was really wildly okay with us being like, can we just throw a xylophone player in the back of the scene? Cause it's just an ongoing joke. Like, so stuff like that. So we're like, as editors, we were incredibly lucky with everyone.
Well, speaking of those stories, what's everybody's story about?
That's
in the collection. Without giving too many spoilers, I guess. What happens in your story? What's it about? What's your jacket copy for your 4,000 words?
You can't put us on the spot, Eric. We have to go with an elevator pitch for this.
Ashley, you're first. Go.
daughter of famous rock star confesses to crush in audience of band while Rock Your Mouth is screaming, "Let me stick my tongue down your throat."
Yes.
And
Yes. Honestly,
very queer, very fun. Just there's boot vodka, I think.
So a fun quick aside when it comes to Ashley's story, like Ashley and I initially became friends because we were both published with Bloomsbury Spark years and years ago.
Rip. All right.
And like in your one book, there's the one main character's dad is this guy Roman. No, wait, that's the love interest is Roman.
Yeah,
Montgomery.
the love interest. Yeah. So
Yeah,
this is like his daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have this character, and when you look at Battle of the Bands and
Yep.
you read Ashley's story,
It's so cool.
like not only does that character make a fun cameo, but like
He
sponsored
has a
by Roman
logo.
Montgomery. Yeah, it pops up there on the page.
he blows up and he doesn't die at 27. I'm so proud of him.
He does good. He does
he has a
good.
recording studio. We're very proud.
So there's a fun Easter egg. If you're listening, go download The Sound of Us. It is a wonderful book. I love it.
It is. Thank you.
All right, we're going alphabetically now. So Jasmine.
Oh gosh, I should have spent this time coming up with something more coherent. Okay, so my best attempt at an elevator pitch is that it's about a girl who she's pretty shy and also like really type A, that she likes to be like really, really good at things. And she has this relationship with this boyfriend who's honestly really terrible. And I feel like the reader is figuring that out much faster than she has. But she's trying to be really supportive of him as he like kind of floats around these different like artistic interests. One of which happens to be wanting to be in a band. And when she realizes this band is really terrible, she's actually really talented at piano herself. And she starts to come up with these songs for his band. But then she kind of realizes that he's terrible and decides to find her own voice and make her own music. And so it's about not letting other people in your life like hold you down.
And she has a beautiful ending. The story has a beautiful ending. And she learns to make her own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for herself too.
Yeah. You can tell that while I was writing it, I was making a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
We have children the same age. I understand. It was your story just came like such a sweet, when I read it, I was just like, my heart. It was just here's my heart. It's so sweet. Okay, Jenny.
So my story's about a boy named Vinny, and he's super close to his sister, and he's kind of dealing with her kind of pushing him away right now for various reasons. And he really feels like she's in a spot where she needs saving, but he doesn't know how to do that. So he's dealing with that, and he's also dealing just with the loneliness that comes from being really close to somebody and that person suddenly not being accessible and not being there for you. So that's kind of how he gets involved with Battle of the Bands. A teacher suggests it, that really wonderful teacher that is kind of in tune with her students and is like, hey, you know what you should do? Well, Vinny is really lucky to have a teacher like that in his life. And she kind of pushes him to be part of Battle of the Bands in some way, but he is not a musician. So he is collecting tickets because he's, kind of that quiet, shy, outside boy. And so that's how he gets involved. And thankfully things kind of come together at the end for him and his sister and this new place that he's in with Battle of the Bands.
Jenny and I joke that our books are kind of like, hers are the dark and I'm the light. So we are the Starfire and Raven of the Teen Titans.
I was just telling Eric about this the other day with our other panel. Like, we are total like opposites, but somehow it like works. And
Yeah,
our
it's like
writing
those
is, like,
houses.
It's my heart.
So it's like those shore houses that meme that you see of like the bright pink house and then like the black house that are like next to each other.
That's us.
that is 100%
That's
us.
us.
Yes.
So with Jenny's story, I wanted to do a really happy story right after it.
No.
So I made our stories be friends. So Jenny's story is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And Vincent ends he has a good ending and he's in the ticket booth. So my story is the stage manager, Lily, who's kind of trying to keep it all together while yelling at everyone and telling them not to touch the curtains. And she's tired of kind of living in the shadow of things. So she decides to break free and leave her post. And that's how she meets Vincent. So that is my story. So that was fun. And you get to find out who wins in my story because it's towards the end, which was cool. We didn't plan that, but we needed to have someone announce the winner. So there it goes. And then Eric.
Oh yeah, and then so forgot that I have to talk about.
Good story too.
So in my story, mine's called Three Chords. It's about a teenager who used to be in a famous pop punk band that gets kicked out because he doesn't quite fit the image of the band anymore and is now trying to start over at a new school, hoping no one knows who he is. And he decides to play the talent show with his BFF, who is a singer and really needs his help to be up there on stage. And before he gets up on stage, the person before him plays a cover of his band's very famous song. And he has a slight meltdown as a result and isn't sure he belongs there anymore. And yeah, that was inspired by a novel I was trying to write that wasn't quite happening. I couldn't quite make it work. So it became a short story. So there we go. And yeah, what is it in the book that I named after one of our friends?
It was written in the song.
Oh, the song, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The song is a reference to Aisha Saeed, who we all love very much. So yeah, that one's mine.
So the book kind of has all those different facets where it's different. So we have the performance and stuff. We also have the merch people. Preeti's story was the merch people. We have lots of bands. We have kids who are ditching the battle of the bands. So yeah, it's kind of a fun, and it starts before the battle starts and ends afterwards, which was cool.
Yeah, that was another one of the fun things of putting this together was not just choosing the order, but how the order was sometimes chosen for us as a result of the stories, you know?
It
when
got
Jeff,
crazy.
yeah. Like when Jeff and Brittany sent in their stories, you know, they bookended each other so well, where the one story begins with the characters moving to this town and getting ready for this battle of the bands as when they hear about it. And then the end of story with the two characters is the final performance, you know, the end of the concert. So they kind of did some heavy lifting for us by accident, which was really nice.
Yeah, and some stories were able to kind of like stand on their own order wise. Like Ashley, yours I was able to kind of put wherever, but others I had to like when Eric and I were doing the lineup, we had to make sure they went in certain orders. Like Sarah Nicole's had to be before Jasmine's because your characters meet, but they meet beforehand. So we had to make sure that the meeting happened and then, you know, it went later. So that's kind of how we figured out the order of the stories, was figuring out the lineup of the bands performing and then kind of move them around a whole lot. And I mentioned Preeti, and hers was, I felt really bad for her because she did the merch table, and basically her whole story was the merch kids sitting there and like bands were performing as they were there. So she wrote it and asked me for the order, and then like every few days it'd be like, I'm sorry, we changed the order again. So this performer is not a band, it's actually just one girl on her own with a guitar. I'm sorry. wait, no, it's back to a full band. So everyone worked really hard.
Lauren, it's funny, I'm like over here making faces because you're like, Eric and I, while working in the order, Eric and I this, when the reality is that you were the master of spreadsheets and just like had the order and you had everything planned out. Like you are the mastermind. It's like that
like
Minority Report with like everything moving around. That's like you handling it all.
We worked really well together in so many different ways. I'm just really obsessive about spreadsheets.
It's great.
And making sure everything worked. And still to this day, like the book is here and I'm still like, did we forget something? Is something not lining up?
I hope not.
Like it's out and I'm still worried about that. Like
it's been through editors and proofreaders. You're fine. We're fine.
I know, it has to be. It has to be. I was listening. We have an audiobook too. So if anyone's interested, it's so good. The audiobook is amazing. It's like they have music in it. Like it's so good. and lots of different narrator. So I was listening to stories in it, really excitedly, and I listened to mine first, which I know is like skipping to the end, but you had to hear your own. I mean, and at the end it says like something happens, and then she hears a band, and I'm like, did enough time pass between those two things happen? I don't think so. And I'm like, it's published, Lauren.
You can't change it now.
I can't. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, there's an audiobook and it's wonderful. And everyone's narrators are wonderful. And it was so cool.
Well, speaking of the bands and the music and stuff, one of the things that we did while putting this together was when we were reaching out to writers, we wanted to find people that had, some kind of tie to music in some way. Like music was a big part of, maybe it was their writing or their lives and everything. And I'm curious, like, how does music play a part in your lives, dear contributors, like before or after when it comes to your writing life?
I was in the marching band in high school.
Why did you not write that?
I played clarinet. It was really great. I didn't even play. I just like marched, and I was like, everyone else can fill in for me. But no, I also did tech a lot. I was sound tech for high school, and then in college I got a job part-time doing some tech, and I got to do some really cool like behind the scenes concerts with like Willie Nelson and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Oh,
that's cool.
And your early books had music.
And my early books had music in them, the Sparks books. So yeah, I was just kind of going back to my roots a little bit. So it was really nice to be able to like write about music again. Anyone else?
Who else?
I think music was a huge like part of my identity as a teenager. Like it was how I kind of curated my personality, so to speak. Like a lot of my like relationship with my friends or a friend group or activities all revolved around music in some way or another. I wasn't in a band, but a lot of my friends were, or it was like going to this show, or it was like, had you heard this song, or did you read on this blog about this band? Did you know this? It was like a currency of information and identity formation. And I just recently got to see 4 of my best friends from high school. And it was funny, on the trip, I kept thinking about this anthology because of how much of the trip was spent listening to all these songs that we loved when we were in high school, and this idea like of music kind of being that time capsule and identity formation. And I know I said this the last time we like did an event for this book, but I'll say it again, in that I feel like music for me is that art form where I'm able to be like a super fan of it, because I don't have any aptitude for creating it. Like I've never written a song, I've never really tried to compose anything, and so for me it feels like magic, and I'm able to just enjoy it in this way that it feels incredible to me that anybody creates songs. And it's not to say I don't love books, I super love books, but I think all of us who are in this know like there's a little bit of magic that gets removed once you understand like how things are made. And so I'm able to love music in this really like free and easy way. And so I think that it's like music brings a lot of joy to my life. It's like one of those things where I'm just able to like completely just like have a fandom type experience with it.
And your second young adult book.
Oh yeah,
with music
is lots
which
of
I love.
music because, and I bet probably a lot of you also had this experience, that writing my second book was really hard. Like I really struggle with second book syndrome, and I'd reached a point where I was just like, I don't like writing. Like, what am I doing? I don't like writing. And this was around the time my first book was coming out, and so I was being asked to do all those interviews and blog posts, and one of them was like a really simple thing where it was like, write about 5 albums that you liked when you were in high school and say why. And I had so much fun working on that blog post. I was like, I don't actually hate writing, and I'm loving working on this. So maybe that's what I should try to write my second book about. I should return to like something that I like writing about. And so that was like kind of the catalyst moment for me, because it sparked this feeling of like excitement around writing that I hadn't had for a while, while trying to struggle to come up with what was this like second book going to be.
And my experience is pretty similar to Jasmine's, just how important music is as a teenager. I felt very much like an outsider as a teen. I mean, I still feel that way, but as a teenager, it was especially, I especially felt that way. And music was something I think I just turned to feel understood and to feel comforted and to feel like there was this place for me. I did listen to a lot of kind of angsty, sad music, The Cure, and the Smiths and Depeche Mode. But it really spoke to me and it felt comforting. And, a lot of my friends listened to the same thing. And so I have all these great kind of memories with music, like hanging out in cars and just driving to school and listening to music super loud and complaining about stuff, but with music in the background. And it's just very, very much interwoven in my life, definitely as a teenager, and it's kind of always been since then. I listen to music when I write. I make playlists that kind of capture the same mood and the same tone of whatever I'm working on. And that serves as a huge inspiration for me. I was listening to, in my teenage years, I was listening to music that came with the little lyrics. If you bought the CD or the cassette,
Little booklet.
Loved it. Loved it.
Your little eyes just trying to make out all the words and realizing you'd been singing the lyrics wrong, and you're like, oh, but I love the way that it was written because it looked like poetry, the way that the little stanzas, the little, kind of like rows. And I just remember making that connection and feeling very much like, music is poetry, and that's how it connects to writing. And so it feels very much all just one to me. And actually that is something that Vincent says in the story, and his teacher says, oh yeah, music is poetry. And so yeah, I really love music. And I mean, I still listen to all the stuff that I did as a teenager. I do seek out new music, but it's those songs that we listen to as teens that just like hit right, in your heart. And so I love the way that teenagedom is so connected to music. I think that's true for basically all young adults out there.
So like, what is everyone's favorite like song right now that you just can't stop listening to?
Oh,
I read an article that the songs you liked in high school are ones that like stay with you because it was they were so important to you in high school that they're just still ingrained in your mind. And I feel like that's 100% true. So I can't think of modern music.
Well, it can still be like oldies too. I mean, not like actually oldies, but
that's like asking us our favorite book. I mean, at least for me, right?
Go.
Halloween by Phoebe Bridgers is on repeat in my house. I mean, part of because of the season.
Yeah,
and she's an artist that like, it's fun because my kids also really like her music. So we can like all agree on it together. So that's the one that's like constantly right now has been playing.
Yeah. Mine right now is Scare Me by Ludo. I just love Ludo. I've always loved Ludo. So, but like Scare Me has been like their first song in years, and it's so good. It's like a Halloween, like kind of like vampy romp. It's so good.
I think mine is maybe Why Did You Run by Judah and the Lion. I've been listening to them a lot lately. I'm on this like weird like alternative rock punk country kick, like those bands that kind of mix it all together in that really weird way, like Lindbeck and the Format used to do. So yeah, that's my current jam.
I listen to a lot of my old stuff still, so I think if I have to pick a favorite song, it's Pictures of You by The Cure. I just think it's like one of the most perfect songs ever. And Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division.
Good. Those are good. Eric and I became friends over our love of pop punk, and and I used to be cool and listen to cool music. And now I have children. And whenever
You're still cool. You're still cool.
Thank you. But I feel like whenever I'm driving, I'm either like listening to an audiobook or whatever they demand us listen to. So I think the two downloads on my car right now are the Vivo soundtrack, which my 3-year-old is obsessed with. And
also it slaps though. It's so
it's
good.
real good. It's real good. We love Vivo in this household. And I've been listening to musicals again just because I really love musicals. So the last one was the last 5 years. So I was a theater girl. So.
Also, the Beetlejuice musical is like very apt for this time of year.
It is. So. You know what? I got to put that on again. I haven't yet, and it's legit good.
You are so sweet, Lauren, because like my kids ended up listening to The Cure and Depeche Mode, and like
Some
I
Chris
have, like,
trying.
yeah, like I had very angsty, moody 8-year-olds kind of like, oh yeah, nobody understands us, I refused to play like the fun stuff for them. I was like, no, this is music history now, so they're very into David Bowie and everything. Yeah.
I love that. Samir, my husband, is so jealous because all we have is FIBO. But well, my youngest really likes the kid appropriate Roots songs for a while. So that was like, she liked the Roots, and we thought that was very hip.
I can't wait until your kids find Centaur World, then you'll just be listening to Centaur World.
We're hoping for something new. We thought we'd get them into K-pop next. We're like, let's try K-pop.
BTS.
Need to worry, right? We don't have to worry about lyrics, about words or anything. We'll just K-pop's fun.
Yeah. It's funny, we were talking about like bonding over pop punk music and everything like that, and one of our wonderful like guest contributors to this anthology was the singer of Motion City Soundtrack. And I love this like little aside story, because when we were putting together the anthology, Laura and I were talking about like, oh, what's a cool dream contributor besides these authors that we're all friends with, and we were like, oh, we should try to get like a rock star in here. Let's get a musician, someone who plays music. And I awkwardly sent Justin Courtney Pierre, the singer of the band, a message on Facebook, and I was like, hey, there's this book. And I have books published, and I work in publishing. Like, I'm not some weird random person. Like, this is a real thing. Would you want to talk to me? Maybe. And he turned out to be the most wonderful, nice person that sends like lovely emails and like is very invested in the book, and it's just a good lesson that you should shoot your shot every now and again, because you never know.
Is that the biography, the short biography that he wrote, made me laugh.
Oh
yes. It's so good, because it was so funny. We're like, you're a legit musician. What are you gonna write? And he's like, I'm gonna write about drugs. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. And so that's his bio.
Yeah. Like the entire discography. It totally checks out.
Yeah. I was cackling when I read that though.
His bio, yes. Really, it made me crack up. He was genuinely cool about everything. He was on tour, and we're like, hey, can you open this Google Doc for us and just check these edits? I know you have a show tonight. Sorry.
On his phone working on the book. And speaking of the bio sections, if you pick up the book, don't sleep on going to the back.
Yes.
Because there's some very funny gems tucked away in everyone's bios, like how some of us were booed at talent shows growing up and all that good stuff. I think you get a good laugh.
We really themed all of it. And we have the book has a little playlist, so you can see all the bands that are performing with all their fantastic names. And then we also made like a fake playlist. We decided on songs that inspired us or our stories, and that was fun. We did a lot of music stuff which makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Makes sense for this type of book, I guess.
Where's the playlist?
It was on a website. Eric, do you remember where?
It's over on United by Pop.
Yes.
If you Google them, there's a fun little playlist from songs that a bunch of us like that are listed on there.
We should probably make a Spotify of it and just
thinking
and just host it on someone's profile.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
That is a good idea, because we had a lot of, but there ended up being a lot of Jimmy Eat World on the playlist. Like I did mine, I was like, yeah, that song's perfect. And then like 4 more came in. I'm like, we are high-fiving.
Also perfect.
Also perfect. Yeah, so that's the book. I want to know what everyone's working on next. So Jasmine, we know that you have your book
I
that you
talked
can't
about
wait
that at the
for.
beginning. That's mine.
I know. And what else? Jenny, I know you have something coming out next year early.
I do. I have my first picture book, which was so cool to kind of work on during this whole pandemic, because it's very much like little book of joy. My YA novels tend to be a little bit heavier, a little bit, harder topics. So this one was just really, really fun. That comes out February of 2022, and it's called With Lots of Love.
And it's coming out in English and Spanish.
And Spanish,
awesome.
both, yes.
That's awesome.
Adorable.
Thank you.
Ashley.
Right. I have a adult paranormal rom-com coming out from Berkeley on July 5th of next year. So mark your calendars. It's now like apparently feeding out to retailers now. So I'm just like, oh my God, people can actually pre-order it. So please pre-order it. It's about a ghostwriter who goes home for the first time in like 10 years for her father's funeral at her family's funeral home, because obviously, and she ends up being haunted by the ghost of her newly deceased editor for her ghost written books. And he's tall, dark, and handsome.
And not alive.
and not alive. So that's the little like hiccup in her grand scheme of things. So yeah, it's called The Dead Romantics, and I am very excited. I also have other things, but I just can't talk about them.
As happens. But I love the title. I love the title. It's
Me
so
too.
good.
Hopefully I'll have a cover sometime soon, maybe.
And Eric, you have something coming out like, I don't know, in a day or so.
Yeah, like tomorrow.
Not really.
So my next book is called You Can Go Your Own Way. It comes out in November. It's a rom-com about two teenagers who were once friends, but now hate each other, but are now snowed inside a failing pinball arcade and have to reckon with maybe their feelings and what's going on there. And that comes out in November. And then I have another book coming out in March that maybe I'll get to talk about one day.
I feel
one day. And then we also have our next anthology. So Eric and I have another interconnected anthology coming out in 2023. I don't know. Called Freshman Orientation. And it's about the first day of college when everyone's having their orientation and moving into their dorm. So we're writing it now and getting all our stories in now, and starting to build our massive Excel spreadsheet.
Yes. And Jasmine, you have so there's the Mars book, and what's the other one?
There's just the Mars book like that's been announced.
Oh,
And then
secrets.
There's also a
So there's
reason
unannounced ones.
yes.
There's
but
secrets.
also I'm in another anthology that was just recently announced. Maybe that's what you were thinking of. Where Justin Reynolds is the editor of
Yeah.
House Party,
and
it's been really fun. It's a really fun group, and it's like a really fun concept. And I love the teen movies that we're all riffing on. So that's been really fun. And I think that's also 2023. Even though publishing always makes me feel like bananas when I start trying to talk about publishing dates, because I'm like, what? That sounds like the intergalactic future. I can't believe that's like.
I know.
It's like I'm supposed to plan for like a year ahead. No,
No, it's too far.
Can't do it.
I could barely plan for tomorrow right now. So yay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for this. And thank you, the Louisiana Book Fair, for having us and all of that.
Yes, especially Sky, Robert,
Yes,
Sky, and like Sky for particularly inviting us to that one 3 years ago and making this book
and having this happen.
Right.
So it's been exciting for us to be able to do this again with the finished product.
And thank you for like letting us join your cool project. It's been a
Thank you
dream.
for joining it. Thank you all of you for joining, for writing amazing stories, and for doing this with us. Like, honestly, we're forever grateful.
Always. Dream roster.
Yeah. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for watching this presentation of the virtual 2021 Louisiana Book Festival. Please visit our official bookseller, Cavalier House Books, and receive 20% off all featured festival titles through the end of the year. A special thank you to our festival sponsors. The Louisiana Book Festival will return on October 29th, 2022.